Hope. It's one of the most universal, timeless aspirations. But what does it really mean? Hope, just like clean water or the pure air we breathe, can all be taken for granted until you don't have it. This is a story about hope during a time when it's in high demand and how it can be nurtured and passed along and change lives. Like so many stories about youth growing up in cities, finding reprieve in nature, a young man named Ryan grew up in urban California but had the chance to escape the chaos of the city for the solitude of the undeveloped American West by way of his grandfather, who had property in rural Wyoming, and opened the door for his son and grandson to experience the natural beauty of the West.
My parents started bringing me up here to Wyoming when I was a really, really young kid. As I grew older into a teenager, I turned from being excited to go somewhere to realizing, oh, there's something bigger to this. Growing up in San Diego in a big city, you're surrounded by people and traffic, and getting to the mountains is challenging from San Diego, but coming here, to a small town where there's not a lot of people, and you can hear the wind blow without sirens in the backgrounds or people yelling, and you can hear the water flowing by you, and it just made a deeper connection in me as a youth. I wanted to come back every summer.
This untapped natural place eventually became the bond that not only united grandfather, father, and son, but opened the door to fishing, which took hold of the boy and influenced the trajectory of his life.
The start of the fly fishing journey, though, it really goes back to my 12th birthday. You hire a guide, you bring me on the South Fork of the Snake. We have to learn how to cast. We see our first cutthroat rise to dry place, right? And something about that is really what catches me. And it's the reason the next day you had me in a local fly shop buying my first fly rod.
Ryan's brief first encounter with fly fishing at age 12 changed the course of his life and the man he would become. He continued to return to Wyoming and his grandfather's property summer after summer as his passion for fly fishing molded him into a guide, drawn deeper into the wild places and waters where fish swim.
My wife and I attend a Presbyterian church in Chico, California, and we were going to church one Sunday. Our pastor gave this sermon about using your personal gifts to change your community. So for weeks, this thought kept coming back and keep coming back, and I keep evaluating my life, and I didn't really feel like I was doing a lot to give back. I always had a passion for serving youth. I was going to donate one trip a month just as a guide to encourage kids who were having a hard time in life. First one I did was word of mouth. Parents had recently divorced. He was going through a hard time as that breakup of the family. The next month it was a kid who was battling cancer. And as this process would continue, 6 months later, I had this junior high kid come out with his uncle. Father had passed away 9 months beforehand. Kid hooks and lands his second fish. And so we're taking pictures, we're high-fiving, we're having that moment. And the kid turns around to his uncle and he looks him straight in the face and goes, "This is the coolest thing I've ever done." I'm sitting there. Some people will call it a God moment, but I've figured out, man, I have to do this more than once a month. And that was the start of Cast Hope.
Cast Hope is a nonprofit created to provide kids with the gift of the outdoors. In an age dominated by the screens and technology, complicated social pressures and situations, Cast Hope offers healthy outdoor activities kids and mentors can share together in hopes of creating lifelong stewards of our outdoor places and passions.
So when I was in elementary school, I was diagnosed with ADD and depression and anxiety, and that made it real hard to just focus on one thing, and I would have so much running through my mind at one time that I wouldn't be able to just focus on anything. And I was on the pretty far end of the ADD and all of the other symptoms that came with it and all of the other effects. And so I was in a hospital for a while because I just wasn't doing good mentally. Cast Hope gives you that thing that you can look forward to each month. You're all right, I can do one more day. If it gets me here, I can do one more day. And you can just keep that is your milestone, and you can just keep looking forward and being like, all right, you know what, I can do one more day. Yeah.
On the 12th birthday, I'm on the South Fork of the Snake with my father, and here I am turning 38 today, and we're in the same place. But what's really cool, we don't have a random guide guiding us. We have Harrison, who went through the Cast Hope program as a teenager, and who is now a guide on the South Fork of the Snake. It's a full circle picture.
Harrison was one of the first kids to participate in the Cast Hope program, and in 2020 became himself a fly fishing guide. Ironically, he now guides the same river Ryan first fished when he was 12, when fly fishing changed his life.
If it weren't for Cast Hope, I don't think I would have gotten into guiding. With mentors like Ryan and a few other guys, they're what sparked this passion in me to stop doing it and start teaching it. It's helped me as I've gone through some troubles. You know, I was a good student in high school, all that, but come junior year, I kind of, made some poor decisions as a high schooler, but through that transition, making new friends, all that, Ryan was there for me, Cast Hope was there for me, and they kind of get me going, just kept me going one day at a time, making it through, having something to look forward to with trips with Ryan. That was just what really helped me through those struggles in my life.
The beautiful thing about hope is it can be cultivated, built up, and eventually passed on and shared. Ryan's desire to share his passion for fly fishing as a form of hope is already spreading from one generation to the next.
So what happens on these trips is that once they have that connection with that fish, once they go through that process and once they've landed it, the amount of self-confidence that kid gets through that moment is like through the roof. That self-confidence, we then say, okay, well, next time at school, when you're having a hard time and you don't think you're gonna get good grades, if you put in the effort, if you make the next cast, if you make the next mend, you can be successful. But if you don't try and you think, oh, I'm not gonna catch a fish, then you'll always be on the sidelines. You'll never know if you do well. And these kids go through this learning process and some get discouraged. But if you can keep encouraging that kid, and when he has that moment of success, that pride is so big. So we can use fishing on another level to actually teach these kids bigger life lessons.
If you have a passion for the outdoors, share it with the next generation. Learn how you can get involved at casthope.org.